Ideas are the invisible currency of progress, and what makes them so powerful is their ability to multiply endlessly without ever being used up. Unlike gold or oil, an idea does not diminish when shared. It grows, adapts, and inspires new forms the moment it enters another mind. This is why the history of human civilization is not just a timeline of wars, kings, or inventions, but rather a living library of ideas colliding and reshaping one another. Take democracy, for example, first whispered in the streets of ancient Athens as an idea that common people could govern themselves. At the time, it was dismissed as unstable and even dangerous, yet centuries later it became the framework for modern nations. Or consider capitalism and free markets, once radical notions that wealth could be created through trade, innovation, and competition, rather than inherited through bloodlines or stolen by force. These ideas gave birth to industries, financial systems, and globalization, forever altering how nations and individuals lived. Even darker ideas have played their part: authoritarian control, racial superiority, or the glorification of conquest, reminding us that ideas can build worlds, but can also destroy them. Yet, from the ruins of destructive ideologies often rise new and better ones, as humanity learns through suffering that the wrong ideas cannot sustain civilizations. The very concept of progress itself, that tomorrow can be better than today, was once revolutionary. Because in the ancient world most people believed that life was unchanging, ruled by fate or divine will. Once humans began to embrace the idea of progress, science flourished, technology advanced, and society leaped forward with astonishing speed. The Industrial Revolution was not only the product of steam engines and factories, but of the idea that humans could systematically harness energy and labor to multiply productivity. The Digital Revolution was born, not only from transistors and circuits, but from the idea that information could be stored, shared, and processed universally, shrinking the planet into a connected web. Even now, as we talk about artificial intelligence, biotechnology, or space exploration, we are witnessing the birth of ideas that seem almost impossible, but will one day be as normal as electricity or airplanes are to us today. At the heart of all of this lies one profound truth: the world we live in is a reflection of the ideas we choose to nurture and bring to life. Every law, every invention, every social movement, every technological leap, every cultural masterpiece, all of it began as nothing more than an idea in someone's mind. This is why protecting, nurturing, and expanding ideas is the greatest responsibility of humanity. Because when we stop imagining, we stop evolving, and when we stop evolving, we stop living. Ideas have always been more powerful than armies, because armies may conquer land, but ideas conquer time. A sword can enforce obedience for a generation, but an idea can inspire transformation for centuries. Consider the scientific revolution. When Galileo dared to support the idea that the Earth revolved around the sun, he was condemned, silenced, and even placed under house arrest. Yet, his idea could not be locked away. It spread through books, students, and debates, eventually shattering centuries of dogma and giving rise to modern astronomy. The same happened with Newton's idea of universal laws, principles invisible to the eye, but governing the cosmos with precision. Those insights became the foundation of engineering, navigation, and physics, all of which underpin modern technology. But it is not only science that proves the power of ideas. Human rights, for example, emerged from philosophical debates in Europe during the Enlightenment. What began as abstract arguments in pamphlets and coffeehouses grew into revolutions in America and France, dismantling monarchies and inspiring future struggles for freedom across the globe. The abolition of slavery was not simply the result of military victories, but of the idea that all human beings are equal in dignity, the radical concept that had to be fought for in law, politics, and culture until it took root. Even today, movements for gender equality, civil rights, and environmental sustainability are driven not just by protests, but by powerful ideas that capture the imagination of people and compel them to act. In business, too, ideas are the lifeblood of success. Apple did not just sell computers. Steve Jobs introduced the idea that technology could be both functional and beautiful, transforming devices into extensions of human creativity. Elon Musk's ventures, whether in electric cars, reusable rockets, or brain-computer interfaces, are propelled by audacious ideas that most dismissed as science fiction until they became reality. This pattern repeats throughout history. Bold ideas that seem laughable at first often become the pillars of tomorrow. In truth, every leap in history, from the first use of fire, to the wheel, to agriculture, to the internet, was nothing more than an idea daring enough to be tried. The world we inhabit today is a mirror of yesterday's imagination. And the world of tomorrow will be born from the ideas we cultivate today. When we look closer at history, we see that ideas often start as fragile sparks in the minds of a few visionaries, ridiculed or ignored by the majority, yet they persist until they reshape civilizations. Agriculture, for example, was once just an idea, the thought that instead of constantly wandering to hunt and gather, people could cultivate plants and domesticate animals in one place. That single shift in thought laid the foundation for villages, cities, and eventually entire nations. The concept of trade expanded upon that. Someone realized value could be exchanged, not only through barter but through symbolic tokens, which led to the creation of money. This abstract idea allowed economies to scale, empires to flourish, and wealth to be transferred across borders. Centuries later, the Renaissance exploded with ideas in art, science, and literature that celebrated human potential and curiosity. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci did not simply paint, they embodied the idea that creativity could bridge disciplines, merging engineering with beauty and science with imagination. His sketches of flying machines, though impractical in his lifetime, carried forward the seed of flight that others would one day bring to life. Similarly, Gutenberg's printing press was not just a machine. It was the physical manifestation of the idea that knowledge should not remain trapped in the hands of the elite. The ability to reproduce books cheaply fueled literacy, spread revolutionary thoughts, and planted the intellectual seeds that would grow into revolutions centuries later. Without that single idea, perhaps the Reformation, the Enlightenment, and even democracy itself would have been stifled. In the modern age, ideas have not slowed, they have accelerated. The digital revolution was born from the idea that information could be represented as binary code, stored and transmitted at lightning speed. From that came computers, the internet, and artificial intelligence tools that now define nearly every aspect of human life. What we shop for, how we learn, how we work, and even how we love are influenced by these technologies, which themselves are the direct children of ideas. And still, humanity looks forward. Ideas of sustainability and renewable energy are shaping industries. As people recognize that progress cannot come at the expense of the planet, the concept of a circular economy, where waste is minimized and resources are reused, is still young but growing. Space exploration is another arena where ideas reign supreme. When John F. Kennedy declared that America would put a man on the moon, it was audacious. There was no roadmap, no guarantee. Yet the idea captured imaginations, drove innovation, and within a decade, humans walked on lunar soil. Today, we speak of colonizing Mars, mining asteroids, and exploring deep space, all because the idea exists and drives us forward. At its core, the story of humanity is the story of ideas, intangible, invisible, yet unstoppable forces that pull civilization toward ever greater horizons.